Now, the latest reaction on a decision that continues to generate controversy. Kenyan athlete Margaret Wambui, who herself faced questions about her testosterone levels, described yesterday's decision by the Court of Arbitration for Sports to dismiss South African caster Semenya's appeal against the hyperandrogenic regulation as being unfair. Now, the Swiss Court of Arbitration for Sports ruled in favor of the IAAF decision, which compels female athletes with high testosterone levels in the range of males to reduce their natural levels and to maintain that level for at least 6 months to be eligible to compete in certain track and field events in the international competitions. The IAAF suggests this reduction be done by contraceptives. Caster Semenya's followers have argued that the decision was discriminatory by imposing differential treatments targeted at a subset of female athletes' population and do not impose any equivalent restrictions on male athletes with naturally high testosterone levels as well. Now, let's hear from the athlete's lawyer who expressed dissatisfaction with the decision from the CAS.
And we ourselves extremely disappointed in the outcome because it's not correct to have a law which plays out in a way that nobody knows yet until it does play out. And you can't have the person who makes the law also be the person implementing the law and deciding how it plays out. So that is not the way we see fairness. I haven't looked into that yet. There's a right of appeal to the Swiss Federal Court. I'm having an interview tonight with a Swiss lawyer to find out what the scope of it is. Ms. Semenya is at the moment on an aeroplane to Doha to compete. So we haven't spoken to her either, but we will be looking into the appeal right. Yes, of course, there are medical experts either way, but if you look at the media release by the CAS, you will see what they say is that what happened with the science is not certain, so we'll have to see how it plays out in practice, which goes back to what I was saying. If you have a law which you don't know how it's going to play out in practice, it shouldn't be a law.
Implementing this regulation over a consistent period of time may prove to be wanting. In theory, it seems easy, but in practice, it may expose some grey spots as the affected athletes may be unable to maintain a natural testosterone level below the required on a consistent basis. Scientifically, the proof provided by the IAAF claiming that female athletes with high testosterone levels have an advantage has come under heavy criticism by some sports scientists.
On the evidence, going back even a year before the court case, I worked together with an American scientist and a Norwegian researcher to critique and evaluate the main study that the IAAF had put forward in support of its regulation. So people may now be aware that the regulation applies to only certain events, and that's because their evidence suggested that only those events benefited from testosterone. So that study is really important in interpreting this regulation. What we found was that there were a number of data errors in that paper to the point that we felt that the data couldn't be trusted. We were very skeptical about some of the methods used to collect the data in the paper and also how it was analyzed statistically. And in the end, it became, to us, such a concerning problem that we actually insisted that the paper be retracted from submission because we felt that it was of inferior quality to even be published in a scientific journal. So without going into every single minute detail, I think the issues were trustworthiness of the data, the integrity of that data, the methods that were used to collect it. And that combination of things means that you're on pretty shaky ground when you start to create governance and policy based on science that might not be replicatable in the future. So that goes to the heart of how do you use science to dictate policy. And I just didn't think that it was being done well there.
Now, the drop in testosterone levels will come with some physical effects, like a decrease in muscle size of the athletes, and that will produce less strength and agility. The South African athlete holds a record gold in the 2012 and 2016 Summer Olympics and is expected to replicate her performance next summer. Now, despite the ruling, clearly the debate will not disappear anytime soon. I know that the IAAF's regulations have always targeted me specifically